Do that again. Welcome to Oakland Risings Monday Meals. We're restarting this amazing opportunity for us all to just connect virtually and be able to talk about some of the political things going on here in Oakland within our community. See a lot of folks joining us. I'm really excited to see you all because boy, oh boy, did 2024 get off to a really wild start. So much happening in the town, so many things. We ain't gonna cover it all today.
Going down.
It's going down. But for those who know us, know that we are really strongly monitoring, but also really love Oakland so much and want to see it become a much better place for us all. And by that, I mean, you know, we have so much beautiful diversity in Oakland. We have so many amazing artists and businesses and entrepreneurs doing innovative things for our city. We have amazing youth programs and senior programs. And, you know, all we hear about right now is crime. What about you?
That's all I hear. I'm in District 7.
Yeah.
Like, I really hear it.
Yeah. So we wanted to get on today and really focus on what we are doing and give folks a little bit of an update. As you know, we go out and we talk to voters. We go out and we talk to the community. We go out and do these what we call civic engagement programs. We call them for shorthand CEPs. And part of the reasons why we do this is because we're part of a movement called We Are California. And that's the concept that if you really think about who votes here in California, sometimes it's not a lot of people of color, right? Sometimes it's mostly white folks across the state who are voting. But we believe that it's possible that for our communities, if we actually got out and vote, we could actually really win on the issues that really matter for us, right? And one of the things that we're really proud of is being able to go out and talk to voters who don't likely vote, folks who may have registered but have only voted maybe one or two elections, but haven't voted regularly. And so, Vernetta, tell us about. I wanted to invite Vernetta to come and talk to us. She's our daily team lead. Whoop, whoop. And can you tell folks, what is a daily team? Let's just start with some of the basics so that people can kind of get refamiliarized. Because, you know, it's 2024. Some folks might have forgotten what a daily team is.
So, okay, hey, you guys. The daily team is a group of outreach workers from 8 to 10. And they're going to go out into the districts in Oakland, usually 1 through 7, preferably 6, 7, sometimes 5, right? But definitely 6 and 7. We're definitely in those districts the most because that's where the community is crying out the most at. And so we're getting up personal and close with the community, building relations with our voters and just with the community in general, right? Because we just want to make sure that they trust us and believe in, you know, what we're fighting for. So we're definitely like boots to the grounds.
Awesome. I think the thing that's so exciting about the way we do our CEPs and particularly the way we are intentional with hiring our daily team is we actually try to hire folks from Oakland. We try to hire folks who have had lived experience with some of the issues that we're going to be asking voters about. And so I'm really proud of Vernetta because Vernetta is our daily team lead, goes out, builds relationships with community-based organizations so that if there are folks in those organizations who want the opportunity to learn how to do phone banking or door knocking, they can come and apply to be a part of our team. We really encourage those who are formerly incarcerated, those who've been systems impacted, folks who are immigrants, to be a part of our team so that it's us out talking to us, right? It's our community out talking to our community and really encouraging us to have open dialogue about these political issues and how they're impacting us, but also how to get people out to vote. And you're going to hear us talk a lot about voting because there's a lot of issues at the local level that we need people to take action on. And part of taking action on these issues is making sure that when things come to the ballot, we're able to have conversations with folks and make sure that they're putting that ballot in the mail. So this is the first time, but it won't be the last time, that if you listening and you ain't put that ballot in the mail, go on and look in your mail pile. We know you got the ballot because everybody got their ballot. Go on, look in your mail pile, find your ballot, and you might want to go on ahead and make your plan to vote. And that's one of the things we're actually talking to folks about. So, Vernetta, how did it feel training the team on voting and how we're going to make sure people are making a vote plan?
It felt really good. Of course, we want people to get out to vote. Try to have that old traditional way of voting, and including your family and your friends is another way to get out and vote. We are encouraging voters, as we call it, to talk to a friend or two about getting out to vote as well. Not just nudging the voters to go vote, but also nudging 2 to 3 people that they may know to go vote as well, and doing it like as a group. Me and my family, we vote every year as a group. It's fun. It's just another way to get to experience like change in history, right? And a movement together, So that's definitely what we're encouraging the voters to do, is just get that old school feel of getting out the house and, going out and going to the polls and actually voting in that way.
That's right. And there's a couple of different things that I really liked about, how you all are talking to folks about a vote plan. Asking people if they got their ballot was one part of it. I think also asking folks if they're going to mail it in and walking folks through how to mail it in, right?
Right.
One thing that always amazes me, no matter how many times we do this training, is we always hear people say, do we need a postal stamp?
Yes.
And always we have to remind folks that you do not need a postal stamp to vote. It's already registered for you to be able to put it in the mail without any stamp. And so I think that's just always an interesting fact of a barrier that we've heard folks, I don't have a stamp to put it in the mail. You just actually have to sign your ballot after you fill it out, put it back in the envelope and sign the back. So we try to, approach our outreach to voters by just demystifying. Is that the way you say it? I don't know. These things that we don't always get a chance to talk about, and sometimes going on the website, whether it's the Alameda Register of Voters website or the Secretary of State, it can be overwhelming, right? And so we try to get out there, get folks on the doors, talk to folks on the phone, and help answer questions that they might be too embarrassed to ask or are just too shy to admit that they want to, have an answer or a confirmation around. I also love that we remind people and reminding y'all too to use black or blue ink.
Yes.
Now we know there's multiple colors under the rainbow and they're all very beautiful. However, when you're voting in the ballots, the machines that read your votes and help us really tally up where folks are standing only read black or blue ink. So we would like to always remind people that. Sometimes I think I've even seen canvassers give people a black or a blue pen, right? So yeah, we do. We're out talking to folks about their vote plan. But what else are we talking about with folks, Vernetta?
We're also talking about our corporates, real estates, and how we want them to pay their fair share in their taxes. Now this right here, oh my goodness, it stirs up a lot of. Does it stir up a lot of stuff at the doors and on the phones. I done got hit all upside my head about this. The stuff I gotta go through, right? Yeah. However, I'm built for it. And I'm gonna tell you, we need to spread the information, because I think the most misinformed information that the voters are hearing is that we are trying to have the billionaires pay more than what they shouldn't be paying, and that's not the case. No. We're asking for them to pay their fair share.
That's right,
and that's something that they have not been paying over 30 plus years.
Yeah.
30 plus years.
So here's an interesting fact, because I love facts. So every year I sit and I'm a part of the California budget monitoring folks, right? As political director, kind of want to know what's going on with our state budget. And I love the California Budget Center. They offer these webinars every time the governor puts out the state budget, right? And so every year they kind of give us the, is the state budget going to be in a surplus, which means we have more tax revenue collected than we budget, or is it going to be in a deficit, meaning we have less tax revenue collected than what we have budgeted, right? And I know folks have seen some stuff in the news about how the state is in a deficit. Well, if corporations across the state paid their fair share in taxes and didn't get what we call perks, or have the rules rigged in their favor, or sometimes the state just forgoes taxing corporations at the appropriate rate. If corporations paid their fair share in taxes, right, all the taxes that are applicable, that would be $70 billion. Wow. Every year in revenue that would be in our state budget, right? Now, as I will always say, y'all have heard me say this before, I just wish we had 10% of 70 billion, right? 10% would go a long ways for all the issues that we're dealing with here in Alameda County, in San Francisco, in Contra Costa alone. Those 3 counties alone that are experiencing high rates of homelessness, high rates of people who cannot afford market rate rent. Folks who need, significant access to medical, so folks who need increased access to mental health, behavioral health services. $70 billion would do a lot for our community to have access to those services. And so when we're talking about corporations are rigging the rules in their favor, what we're talking about is that they're not paying their fair share in taxes, right? And it is a well-known fact across the state, across state representatives, the senators, and the governor, they all know that these corporations are able to really wiggle in between the rules that exist and avoid paying that $70 billion that they should be paying every year. That's not okay. It's just not okay, right? It's not. And so we really want to make sure that billionaires as well as corporations pay their fair share in taxes, and they stop doing these things around making such record profits in a time when inflation is rising, when the cost of living is rising, and when paying their fair share can actually do a lot to ensure our communities are safe, right? Yeah. So I know you talk to folks on the doors about this and on the phones about this. And I know that people are really passionate about, fairness, right? Justice is, that's like, I think if, there's one word to describe California, that would probably be one of them. Right. We believe in justice, right?
I mean, we came here in a mass because of things like that. California was definitely the place to come to seek better, through all the states of the United States of America. So we need to get back to that, like I miss that feeling, and we can, and you know what? We will.
That's right. So the reason we talk about, these corporations and these billionaires paying their fair share is also because the other big hot topic in the news a lot and in the community is public safety. And there's lots of conversations happening around what we should do about public safety. A lot of folks are not feeling safe. A lot of folks are not safe. And a lot of folks are really wanting solutions now, right? Immediately. And the cry for justice is really high. But sometimes I think, for our community, there are folks who are really thinking about after a crime has been committed, what should be done. But for us at Oakland Rising, we believe that there needs to be a lot of different solutions in order to create public safety, right? We really want to see folks have their basic needs met. We want to see prevention. And that's where we're really going to focus in on around why we're out talking to voters about violence prevention and what are the resources that people really believe should be invested in around violence prevention. So, Vernetta, what do you believe are like some of those important investments right
now? I definitely believe some of it should be what I'm hearing, from the voters, around mental illness, and just being able to determine, like, if it is someone that is suffering from mental illness, then actually someone that's in the right state of mind that is doing something, committing a crime that they know better doing, like knowing a difference, right? Mm-hmm. And so with that, we have to be careful with who we're calling to apprehend these individuals, because we might not need a police officer. We might need someone that can support a person that's dealing with mental illnesses or need medication and things like that. Mm-hmm. And so it's deeper than that. And so these are the type of things that we're definitely hearing to cry out for our community, and just want to be safe amongst themselves and their community. Mm-hmm. And not witnessing, right, others coming and shortcomings of being put in a position behind situations that don't turn out to be the best. I'll say that.
That's right. I think that it's really interesting that you went to mental health, because people don't see mental health always as a violence prevention strategy, but it really is, right? Mm-hmm. And I think one of the benefits of being able to go out and talk with folks is often the issues that are really boiling up in the community, right? Mm-hmm. I happened to be out yesterday canvassing in East Oakland and witnessed OPD being called because there was someone who clearly was having a little bit of an episode. For the bulk part, again, OPD is not always going to be the right place to call. It should have been, why am I blanking? Macro. It should have been macro, right? Because this sister, she was sitting on the ground. She really just needed someone to talk to and to get her into the right services. The best that OPD can do is just sit there and make sure that she's not a harm to anyone. And so those are the types of things that we witness as we're out door knocking, as we're out phone banking folks. We get to hear, we get to see some of the things that are happening in our community and where the right services are necessary for the situations that are going on with our folks, right? Mm-hmm. And I like to emphasize our folks, because I know that woman that I saw was somebody's sister or somebody's, niece or somebody's granddaughter, Mm-hmm. And I like to make it personal for us, because if it was my mom, if it was my grandmother, if it was my, auntie or uncle or nephew or whatever, I would want them to be treated with care. I don't care if I don't know the person. I want us to be really clear that as a community, we have to take care of each other, and that ensures that we don't depersonalize or other folks, right? That whole dynamic of them people, right? Mm-hmm. There's no such thing as them people, right? If we believe in the Oakland that everyone describes and everyone says, oh, I miss this old Oakland. Mm-hmm. That old Oakland took care of each other.
That's right.
Right? So we got to get back to those values. We have to bring back into our values the importance of violence prevention as a care strategy, right? So the other thing that we're talking to folks about in that violence prevention is specifically young folks, right? Because one of the things that we hear all the time in the news is that, it's just the young folks that are committing the crime, or the young folks who are being disruptive, or the young folks are the reason there's not safety. And we just know that's not really true.
That's not true.
That's not true, right? And it's unfortunate that OPD has not yet released a lot of data that would help us to really understand who in the community, if they're even Oakland residents, because there's lots of speculation because we can't get public records released, that it might not even be Oakland residents doing these crimes, right? But we really wanted to get out and talk to folks about resources for our youth and our families, right? And we're talking to folks about, like, what do they feel elected officials should do to invest in prevention, right? Violence prevention. And it's been really interesting hearing some of the ideas that have come up from the community, right? We've heard folks really say, there needs to be more mentoring programs. Totally agree, right? Yeah. We've heard folks say there need to be more activities for young people, for the youth, right? Mm-hmm. And I know for me personally, that's really important for me to hear, because I also am commissioner on the Oakland Fund for Children and Youth. Mm-hmm. And we don't have a lot of resources dedicated to youth and children and youth services in Oakland. It's probably about $20 million a year that's not enough, right? But we've also heard, you mentioned the health, mental health. We've also heard affordable housing coming up.
Yes.
Talk to us about why people believe affordable housing might be a really strong solution for violence prevention.
Well, when you are stressing over where you're going to live, it's not a settling feeling.
Right.
And it put people in positions to where they have to probably do things to make sure that they will be okay for this particular night. Not even knowing if the next night will be okay, but at least this night I will get some warmth. This is a problem, and we need to not forget our Oakland voters, our Oakland. They was born here. These are Oakland, not just residents. Like, these are Oaklanders. They are not here. They're in other cities or they're on the streets. And this is just ridiculous. It's unheard of.
Yeah.
And people are tired of it, and they witnessed this happen in West Oakland. And now we're seeing it pushed deep in East Oakland. And
it's tragic,
it's
right?
scary.
Yeah, it's scary. So, I mean, you bring up a really important point around, like, folks' mental needs in the process of being unstable. I know that when I was recently in a conversation, someone asked, how many of our unhoused community members are children, right? How many of them are families, right? Who, because there's not enough shelters, are sleeping in their cars, because they just cannot find some place to live, right? Can't afford the amount of rent that's being charged for even a 1-bedroom, right? I think I looked on Craigslist, and 1 bedroom was going for $2,000 almost. Like, I couldn't afford that, right? I don't think the average Oaklander can afford that, right? And so when we're talking about violence prevention, and we hear people bring up affordable housing as a part of that, for us, what that's signaling is that, hey, we've gotten to this place where the rise in rent has completely outpaced the rise in wages, right? Most folks are not making $40 and $50 an hour to be able to afford the rent that's being charged here in Oakland, right? And so then you put people in these really stressful situations, and it breeds this opportunity for folks to then not have the stability that they need. And, I just think that that's something that's really important to highlight. It puts people in a desperate situation, right?
And the one thing that I noticed is that, P, is that it's usually the people who working very, very hard is receiving the least and is going through the most hardships.
Yeah.
And then the ones who are not working hard are reaping the benefits of us working hard, and we still have to worry about our health and our kids' colleges and just even take your family out on a dinner. We can't even do that.
Yeah. And another thing that we've heard folks talk a lot about, which is related to what you're saying, it's like being able to afford to even if you can afford rent, you can't afford other things in Oakland, right? And so folks have been really talking about youth and young adult jobs, and being able to really support folks go through the transitions in life, right? And having access to steady work, so that they are well held, particularly in those transition years between 16 to 24, right? And so that they don't have to be enticed by the underground economy and stuff, right? So when people wonder what we're out talking to voters about, we're really talking about these issues and really trying to understand what community members really want to see our elected officials, begin to discuss, right? But also the reason we're out talking to folks is because there are likely going to be things on the ballot in the future about these issues, right? And things that are come up in our city budget process that will really begin to start picking up in April, that are going to have to be discussed, because Oakland is still facing according to the last finance committee meeting at the city council, is still facing a budget deficit, right? Our revenue has not stabilized. It has not gone back to pre-pandemic levels, right? And city council and the mayor will be faced yet again with decisions about how to balance the budget. And these programs that people talk about, the affordable housing, the community-based services, the mentoring, the youth jobs, those are all things that get paid for out of our city budget, right? Some things, though, also do get paid out of our county budget. And we'll be talking in the future. We'll come back and pick up that prior conversation we had with Restore Oakland and Care First Community Coalition about the county budget. But we wanted to make sure that we got out here, talk to you all about what we've been hearing from community residents about violence prevention. I think the other thing that's really, what I love the most about this work that we do with the Daily Team is that they get to hear and share all these stories from the community. And there's also just lovely, bright stories, right, around how these services help transform people's lives. I remember talking to a young person on Sunday who was like, well, I ain't old enough to vote, but I'm glad to see you out here, right? Representing, right? Because I think what it conveys to people is that people care, right? And that someone is out here that cares about the fact that folks know what's going on, that they know how to vote, but also that they know how to get involved in the city council or the school board or any of the other things going on.
Because that's the objective goal.
Yeah.
That's the objective goal. We want folks to feel comfortable to hold our elected officials accountable.
Yeah.
That's our jobs as voters, right? And so, I agree with everything that P just said, and how we have to make sure that our youth are taken care of. We just do. They're going to take care of us one day.
We hope.
We hope. So we better make sure we're taking real good care of them now.
Yeah. So
we can receive it back when we become the elders and can't really mobilize anymore, right?
Imagine we're going to be in our canes. With our canes at the protest. Well, Vernetta, it was really good to have you talk about the Daily Team. Anything else you want to share with folks before we wrap our first Monday Meals back of 2024?
All I want to say is answer the phone and be nice. Thank you. Do not hang up in our faces.
That's right. If you're watching Monday Meals, you are likely someone that we would call. So if you see us calling, pick up the phone and give our canvassing team a nice hi. Let them know how you're feeling about these issues. Again, we're talking to folks on the phones about whether they agree with corporations and billionaires paying their fair share. We really want to make sure that they're using their wealth appropriately here in California and getting our $70 billion that they owe in taxes. We're also talking to folks about what they feel around violence prevention and what investments they think elected officials should be making in our upcoming city budget and in our county budget. And then obviously the most important thing, March 5th, primary election. Lots of things on the ballot at the federal, at the state level. We really want you all to hone in on the local level. There are Measure B is on there. There's a lot of things around that, around updating the recall procedures. We didn't talk a little bit about that, but we also are out talking to folks about that and doing some education about the misuse of recalls that's been happening here in Oakland, Alameda County, the East Bay. And there'll be another future Monday Meals next Monday talking about why voting is so important and how do we ensure that our democracy is not being undermined by millionaires, billionaires, and corporations. We're really excited to have you all join us. We're really excited to get Monday Meals back up. Again, this is Oakland Rising, and we are all about building political power for the Oakland Flatlands and making sure that people of color in Oakland stay in Oakland and have the resources that we need to thrive. So we hope to see you on the next Monday Meals. Check us out at oaklandrising.org and Yeah.
Peace.
Bye, everyone.
That was amazing. That was good.